Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking. I'm talking about a book which I've reviewed on Flickr. It's a very interesting book from Oxford University Press. It's called Employment Law Checklists 2009 by Julia Palca and Taylor. This is the book itself. It's only about just under 400 pages long. It's very much a standard type of text for the Oxford University Press, and you've got some useful numbering on the sides to find out exactly what you're after. Very much a workhorse of a book in the sense of what it's used for with the employment work that many of us have as practitioners, either professionally qualified or advisors. The title that I've given it, and this review has been written by myself and my wife Elizabeth Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers, and we decided that the best review title would be an informed answer for just about every employment law question. So what are the grounds for dismissal? When is a person redundant? What are examples of constructive dismissal? What about age discrimination? These questions are on the lips of many people at the moment. The answers, in whole or in part, are all in this book, Employment Law Checklist 2009. Nice paperback, not too heavy. And it might be tempting, of course, to retitle it as Employment Law Questions and Answers. We don't mean to have any levity by suggesting this, but Palca and Taylor's 400-page book follows a logical and consistent question and answer format throughout, which is to be admired, with relatively easy to follow answers to a wide variety of employment law problems, the sort of things you pick up in your practice, with each answer supported by commentaries, examples and references to specific cases. And at the back, which is particularly important, are this table of recent awards, which I think many people will find extremely helpful, both as laypersons and as practitioners. If you're involved in any way with employment law or human resources issues, this book is intended as your first point of reference, and the balance of the detail given is, in our view, just right. Those who would find it most useful would include lawyers who are not specialists in employment law, and non-lawyers such as human resources practitioners, dealing with the nitty-gritty of personnel. If you're in the latter category, the actual work is brilliant as a practical, authoritative guide to the appropriate steps which need to be taken and the facts which need to be considered before decisions on employment are reached. Also, if you're an employee, you'll find this book an accessible way of determining what your rights are in the event of disputes, and probably more importantly what you can't and shouldn't do if you're thinking of pursuing a claim, certainly at an employment tribunal. But there's a cautionary note as well. Think carefully before you take drastic action. It might cost you, so look at the table of awards at the back, which I referred to earlier, if you have any doubts. Whatever your decision, you need to get the authoritative advice you seek, and in which case you'll find employment law checklists, in our view, extremely useful in steering you in the direction of the right and most pertinent questions to ask. They'll be the ones you think of, but there are questions you must address if you're going to pursue a claim. Do you know, for example, the difference between unfair dismissal, constructive dismissal and wrongful dismissal? It's a common question I have in my practice. If you're not sure, this is the book to remind you in a clear and accessible way. Its section on the subject of dismissals is massive. This latest edition, therefore, has been updated to deal with new developments in employment law since the last or third edition, such as the new transfer of undertaking regulations and various other urgent and topical issues, from developments in equality legislation, family-friendly laws, TUPE and workplace dispute resolution, to more recently age discrimination. Of course there are other books about age, disability, discrimination and so forth from OUP. The book lists 4 age discrimination awards since June 2006, one of which concerned a 19-year-old who was judged too young for her job. Definitely the table of recent tribunal awards, which I've referred to, which I think is probably the USP of this checklist, in discrimination cases in particular at the back of the book, makes rather fascinating reading, and it's one where you sort of read on and on and on, although you have to turn the book upside down, of course. Written by 2 employment lawyers who have covered all aspects of employment law, the checklist, in the words of the Solicitor's Journal, quote, allows you to have employment law at your fingertips. We don't disagree with that. Palca and Taylors say this book assists those who are not experts, and they succeed here with invaluable, informed advice for all. And I think it's a great addition to your bookcase. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.